Alright, good afternoon everyone. As you all know, I'm Gear Disrespecter, and this is just a continuation video of a Paul Harrel video related to Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain TUI SCS ammunition. That just means tumble upon impact, solid copper spun. He did a video about 6 years back in which he demonstrated it going through not just 2A but also 3A body armor at 7 yards out of a Beretta 92. Now, I don't have a Beretta 92, but I do have the question of at what range does Fort Scott Munitions ammunition stop going through 3A body armor? To answer that question today, I'm going to be using a Glock 26, a PSA dagger with a extended threaded barrel, so about 4.5 inches. My Glock 17 with an extended threaded barrel it's got a 5-inch barrel, and then finally a Grand Power Strybog SP9 A3G that has an 8-inch barrel. To begin with for this video, we're going to use the Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain ammunition and some Blazer 147 grain FMJ, just basic range ammo, and we're just going to group them at 10 yards on this target right here to my right, your left. And before we actually go any further, you should go watch the Paul Harrel video that I will link either in the video description or in the top comment. That's a much better done video than what this is going to be, but that's essentially what I'm going off of, is I am simply introducing a few more barrel lengths and adding a bit more range, just because I'm curious like that. And that first string you see was just me confirming that everything is working, chronograph's up to speed, all that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start at the very bottom with the Glock 26, then the PSA dagger, then the Glock 17, then finally the Strybog. $13.68. 1409. $13.90. $13.76. $13.81. $13.84. $1,500. $14.82. $14.82. That's a duplicate. $14.96. $14.74. All right, so as you can see here, this is the bottom group here, the Glock 26. One of the rounds did not even hit the paper, so this is not, mind you, my aim point was actually, I was quite accurate overall is what it felt like. Right up dead on the crosshairs. So I have nothing. It's quite likely there was a good bit of me in there somewhere, but the fact that we had two flyers so far off that one of them didn't even get on the paper would indicate something to me. The PSA dagger, I would not call that particularly spectacular, but you know, it's whatever. Glock 17, about what I would expect, and the Strybog, also about what I would expect. The final feet per second on those, out of the Glock 26, we got 1259 as the average. For the PSA, we got 1369 feet per second. For the Glock 17, we got 1388. The difference between a 4.5 and a 5-inch barrel obviously are small enough that, you know, 20 feet per second, that's the difference between one round and the next. Not enough difference to make a difference. But the big jump occurs with the Strybog with an 8-inch barrel. With that one, we get an average of 1487, which is at approximately, what is that? 228 feet per second faster than the Glock 26. It is noticeably faster and will maintain that armor penetration capability at significantly further range. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the meat target section and see what happens with the armor. And so now we're going to make the meat target real quick. For those who are not familiar, like if you don't watch Paul Harrel, well, the late great Paul Harrel, it's a pork chop pectoral, pork ribs, a bag of oranges to simulate lung tissue, more pork ribs on the back. And then in this case, I'm actually just going to use a single t-shirt. just because I just have one spare one that I've kind of ruined just a little bit. And then I'm going to put a fleece bullet stop on the back, put the armor on the front, and we're going to go to town. And I've got the meat target together. We're going to go ahead and start off with the Glock 26. At, of course, 10 yards. $12.99. $12.99. And $12.64. Now let's see if it went through. I've got one. So the point of aim versus the point of impact is significant for where it's hitting, because it actually hit. I was aiming at this one, it hit all the way down here. With only one of them, it would appear. So we will see what happened. And we have a pass through. All right, we got a very nicely shot pork chop pectoral. The ribs have been hit and chipped, but wasn't a direct enough hit to break them. Some pulped up lung tissue. Ribs on the back were hit and definitely given what for. All right. That was a fairly clean pass through in the appearance of it. round has exited and is gone. Nowhere to be found. All right, onto the PSA dagger, I guess. And 1331. Appear that it also struck very low right down here. We will find that round. Well, we know that passed through, so we will find that round when we can. I'm going to go ahead, because these are just blowing straight through. Obviously, if the Glock 26 got through, the subsequent shots from PSA Dagger, Glock 17, Strybog, they're all going to go straight through. I am still going to go ahead and shoot them, though, just for the sake of shooting them. $13.94. Guess. Oh, there we go. Huh. That is still rather warm. But that right there is the round out of the Glock 17. Just a little blunt on the tip. Yeah, just a little blunted on the tip. Passed straight through. We'll see what the damage is to the meat target, but I imagine it's going to be similar to an FMJ round. Oh yeah. Good pulped up lung tissue. Nothing spectacular, but went between the ribs. Yeah, passed straight through. And hit right there. That is just me. Yes, that is deeply annoying. All right, and Strybog. I know I'm not sticking to the original three-shot schedule that was initially planned, but if we're being completely honest, the fact that Paul Harrel 6 years ago was putting these through both 3A and 2A soft body armor, you know, it's kind of pointless to waste 3 shots on this when I only have the one meat target and the one piece of soft armor. So we're just going to shoot it. It goes through, great. If not, we'll shoot it again, see what happens. Unfortunately, my chronograph did not pick that one up, so that is deeply annoying. Oh yeah. I think we got through. So as you can see, hit right there. And as you can also tell, did a pretty good job on the shirt, pretty good job on the ribs on the back side. Again, I'm going between the ribs, I'm not actually hitting them, but you can see where it hit the orange here. I pretty well just ripped that apart and actually missed the ribs on the back. So we will turn the target slightly to try to make up for that. Just to try to get those actually in the frame, essentially. Had to add an extra 6 inches onto my hole, but apparently that was the problem. So there is our G26 at 20 yards. And there she is. Still hot to the touch. Just a little blunted there on the tip, in case if I can get this to actually focus on it. Yeah, just a little blunted. But, as is obvious with each shot, these are not doing what I would call spectacular or even noteworthy amounts of damage. They are still going through, but they are just not... you're essentially shooting them with FMJ. That's what you're doing, is you're shooting whoever is wearing this body armor, if you are shooting someone who's wearing body armor with this, with FMJ ammunition. That's all you're doing. Obviously, no one's volunteering to play catch with that, but, you know, it's not going to do what a external or traditional hollow point is going to do. So we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to push out to 40 yards, just completely skip 30, and see if it can, see if the armor can even stop a single round of Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain 9mm out of my Glock 26 at 40 yards. I can just see where it would appear that I have nicked the soft body armor. We're going to go ahead and give it another try. Well, it would appear that my shooting abilities and the accuracy, or lack thereof, of the Fort Scott Munitions out of a 3.5-inch barrel are starting to really make this difficult. So I'm going to actually swap over to my Glock 17, which is a 5-inch barrel, move the target back an additional 10 yards. We'll just see. 50 yards, right? You'd think it'd do the trick. Yeah, it would definitely appear that my shooting abilities and the accuracy or lack thereof of this ammunition is, well, they're starting to coincide, and it's getting ugly, I guess. We'll give this a try with the Strybog. See if we can't take as much of me out of this equation as possible. All right, so once again, only one hit. That is also a complete pass-through. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it quits here, but because essentially we have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that I am not that great at pistol shooting, and that pretty much at whatever reasonable range you could possibly be using a handgun, if the bad guy has soft body armor on, you probably are going to get through it. How much damage you'll do? based off both Paul Harrel's video and then obviously what I've been doing here, I'm going to say that's going to be questionable at best. And I did just notice a bullet hole right there, so we will check that out here in a second. All right, so I would say what we've been able to learn from all this is that ultimately, yeah, Paul's video is there's literally nothing wrong with it, and frankly, this video is almost unnecessary, other than to prove that his video was completely valid in the sense of, yeah, whatever range you're going to use a pistol at, provided you are not the problem and you can make the hits, Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain ammunition will do the job through IIIA soft body armor. Where it hit ribs, on the occasions I did hit ribs, it did break them. When it did not hit them directly, it still chipped them quite nicely. For instance, this one right here, you can see there, shattered it completely. That's one on the back side. The oranges, as you can tell, got pulped up quite nicely. To my knowledge, this is nothing that'd be spectacular for really anything but range ammo, and this is probably due to the speed the round is going at. So again, at further distances, you will definitely see a loss of function there. And then out of the high-tech, well, in my case, low-tech fleece bullet stop, let's go ahead and see if we can't dig that round out. Let's see here. And it would appear that pretty much at whatever range you are going to be shooting this ammunition at, it will have overpenetration issues as well. Granted, that's why it goes through body armor, but that is definitely a concern if you are actually talking about using this for real. And it would appear, yeah, none in there. Check the other one, see if any managed to get stopped. All right, and it would appear that answer is a no. All right, and as promised, a single round of 124 grain Spear Gold Dot plus P plus jacketed hollow point, just to demonstrate that this armor does actually work. Obviously, just Fort Scott Munitions is a little OP for its purposes. And get right there, as you can tell, split the top, but that's kind of to be expected, and I can actually feel the round inside of there. So I will probably get that out later. All right, so what did we learn? There is no effective range at which you can use a handgun, or at least that I can use a handgun, at which this Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain TUI SCS 9mm ammunition out of even a Glock 26 or, better yet, a PCC will not pass through soft body armor. Granted, it is more or less made with soft body armor in mind, but something to be aware of. Do I think this ammunition is worth stockpiling and, oh yeah, this is your SHTF bug out bag, whatever brand of ammunition? No, I think it has, it's neat, right? It probably wouldn't kill you to keep a magazine of it around, but armor on average covers such a small amount of area on the human body that you're far better served by just swapping over to pelvic girdle shots and then a headshot once the opponent is grounded, instead of trying to swap mags and go over to something that's got AP capabilities. Anyway, I hope you found this informative, enjoyable, even if only to laugh at me. Have a good one.